So this is the rub we're making for the prime rib today, and it's very simple. It's just a few ingredients: some softened butter, salt, pepper, rosemary, thyme, and some garlic. About 7 cloves of garlic, 2 sticks of butter, 2 tablespoons of salt, 2 tablespoons of rosemary, 2 tablespoons of thyme, and about a tablespoon of black pepper. And this will be rubbed on the outside of the pan. Alright. Welcome to the pit. Today we're going to be doing a dry age reverse seared prime rib on the smoker, finished off on the grill. This piece of meat, we actually started the process of what we're doing today about 40 days ago by wrapping this piece of meat in cheesecloth, putting it in the fridge on a rack right above a pan of salt it's got pink Himalayan salt and sea salt in there. And so that is where we got started in the dry aging process. It goes in a drawer in the fridge on the fruit setting, which is the low humidity setting. You don't want to use the vegetable setting, that's a high humidity. So by controlling the humidity in their fridge, you're able to dry age your own meat. Kind of a neat thing to do if you've never done it before. Gives the meat a whole different flavor, really good. Also takes a long time, and you'll probably never eat this in a restaurant just due to the amount of time that it takes to do it. Not many restaurants actually dry age meat anymore unless you're in a very high-end steakhouse. So something worthwhile to try if you have the time and you want to do it yourself. And this is the meat we're starting with. You can see the coloration there changes quite a bit throughout the dry aging process, and we'll trim some of that before we start this meat today. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to trim a little of the edge of the meat that's been in the fridge off, just a little of the outer edge of it, some of that funkiness off. This is a desired process, but we just like to get a little bit of outer edge, so you can see just a little bit of the fat, and you're not going to lose much meat here. You're just getting the very outer portions of it off. So next we're just going to trim off a little bit from the bone, the end of the bone here. I'm just going to go down, kind of cut right against the bone. There's a little bit of fat. As you see, it's all fat. And then you're going to just trim out between the bones just a little bit. We're going to go between the bones right up against each one and kind of get that off of there. And you can clean this up a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just like to get that off the end there, sort of French cut it. When you cut this fat off, keep it. It's good for greasing grill grates and pans and whatnot. Just put it in some saran wrap, go in the fridge. You can use it. It's good stuff for greasing grill grates. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put this on the grate that I'm going to use to smoke it. That way it's easy. I can just carry the grate out, throw it in the smoker. I don't have to worry about transferring the meat from a pan to the grate or whatever. I'll just do everything I need to do right on here on the cutting board. One thing, this meat is already at room temperature. I took this meat out of the refrigerator probably about 4 hours ago, maybe 5 hours ago. So it's been out and resting at room temperature already. You want to make sure that you get it at room temperature before you start this process. It'll cook evenly that way. If you don't, and it'll end up being really cold in the middle, and it'll get overdone on the ends. So just take it out and let it rest first. The next process really is just taking this rub and rubbing the entire outside of the meat. I start on the bottom so I can turn it over, and you're gonna have to get your hands dirty a little bit doing this, and that's okay. But we're gonna get this rub literally everywhere on this piece of meat, and it's gonna be some good stuff. This is fabulous eating. Okay, so that's all over the bottom and the sides a little bit. And we'll bring this up top, and we're going to use every bit of it. So don't be scarce here with the rub. A lot of it will end up in your dripping pan, and that's fine. We've got a dripping pan underneath where this grate is going. Already in the smoker, it's just a cast iron pan we threw in there to catch the drippings of the meat as it smokes. As you can see, this thing is covered entirely. Nothing left uncovered. A little extra there on top. Run down to the meat, and good stuff. See where we're going with this, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
So what we've done there is we've just put a cast iron pan underneath to catch the drippings from the meat. We're going to use that for a gravy or an au jus. Going to put it in there, and we're not going to look at it again until the temperature is good. I am going to put the meat thermometer in, try to get that right about the dead center, and we'll close it up. So as you can see, we put the thermometer in, and you can see it's all hooked up. Obviously, internal meat temperature's about 50 degrees. That's good. That's not exactly outside temperature, but it's as close to room temperature as you're probably going to get. Today we're smoking on the Master Built Sportsman Elite Smoker. It's an electric smoker. It's a good little smoker. I've used it for everything. It's never really let me down. I get a great flavor out of it. We're using mesquite wood chips. And in the water tray, I do actually have water this time, not beer. But there is a little rosé wine in there as well. So we'll get a good smoke on that meat. And then once we get done with getting it to temperature in the smoker, which I'll bring it up to about 120 degrees, maybe 118, somewhere in there. Once it gets to that temperature, I'm going to take it out, let it rest a very, very small amount of time. Only enough to get this grill up to maybe 500 or 600 degrees. Once we get the grill up to as hot as we can get it, we'll throw the meat on there and sear it, and we'll get the good crust on the outside. All right, so we've got done pulling the prime rib off of the smoker. We put it on the grill, and it's now complete. The searing is already on it. And it actually had a good flare up, so our heat got way, way high, probably 800 or more degrees. And now we're going to just bring it in and let it rest for just a bit. And once we do that, we'll carve it up. We've trimmed the bones off of the prime rib, and as you can see, it is perfectly rare. It's 121 degrees. That is almost perfect. I usually do beef at 120, 125 range. And now if we can just carve this up, and you'll see a pretty perfectly medium rare prime rib. And if we keep cutting, you'll see that it's evenly cooked. As I said before, bringing it to room temperature does the trick on that. You can cut right through the middle of this, and it'll continue to be very similar coloration all the way through. There you have it. Dry aged, reverse seared, prime rib, smoked, then grilled. There you have it. Dry aged, reverse seared, prime rib, the pit way. Remember to keep these ribs. You can serve these up with a slab of meat there. Everybody will love those. Or you can just trim them off and give pieces to the dog. He seems to like it too.